Good morning. Learning as a schus for Shleimah Filan Chaya Basarach and for Meir ben Cyril Peril. We're on Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph, 6 lines from the Rabban. Tana Rabban, Kayin Mishiyevi Shtei Cyrus Achi Yizakin Kosher Lavod. We said a Kayin is not puzzled because of Shonim. So he doesn't get puzzled from doing Avodah because of age. Means Levi, we said, was between 30 and 50 that he could do Avodah. We said there were restrictions on that. That's only during in the midbar, but they had to carry the Mishkan, and it was also 5 years beforehand that they learned how to do it. But Kehanim were not restricted. However, even though Kehanim are not restricted by age, they do have to be Gedolim. They can't be a cotton. So Mishayevi Shtei Cyrus, when they have Shtei Cyrus, that means they become Bar Mitzvah. At that point, they could start doing the Avodah. Achi Yaskin until they age out, until they become too old. Kasher Avodah. They kasher to Avodah. Mubin Paisel, by a Mubin possible. We're going to see what the Gemara is going to say later on what Yaskin means. Yaskin is literally going to mean where they become too old to physically do the Avodah. Ben Levi, mi ben shloishiv yad ben chamishim kosher la'avodah. Ben Levi, from the time he's 30 until he's 50, he could do the avodah b'shanim paisel by. But years, if he is, if he if he leaves under 30 or more than 50, he can no longer do the avodah. Medva mon ba'il mayit shem midbar. That is only in the oil mayit in the midbar that the Leviim have the years restricting them. They don't become pasul ela b'koil, as Rashi will explain soon. That means that this is a Baruch Hashem Amakaya, not a Levi, but Kahanim, Leviim, I'm sorry, had to sing, and if they could not keep up with the niggin, if they would ruin the choir, they got kicked out. RBIC, my crow, where's the pasuk? The Gemara. It's the pasuk says, "Vayihi ka'echad." It should be like one for the mechatzrim, for the ones who are playing the chatzaitrus, the trumpets, and the singers, which we understand to mean lashmiya koil. They should sound like one voice. So Rashi koil echad should levashim as koilam. They have to unify the voice. It should be like one voice. So if you ever came to Chaim Berlin and heard or pretty much any place, you hear the Duchening, the Kehanim, there's a reason why the Kehanim are not Leviim. They can never seem to get themselves together to say the brachas of Birchas Kainim together. Zok Gemara. Ad Yaskin, until he gets too old. Ad Kama, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Chanina, Ad Sheyarata, Ad Sheyarasasa, which means, Rashi says, Yadav v'raglav v'roisin me'ein koyach, when they become old and their hands and feet shake because they're not strong enough. So at that point, they no longer can do the avodah. Tanan hasa, bal keri shetovel, v'lo hitel mayim. Someone who's raw keri, so he becomes tamei, and he didn't urinate. He didn't go to the bathroom. L'ksheyatel tamei. When he does so, he's going to become tamei because we assume that there was a little bit. I'm sorry. Shetoval hitel mayim. He went to the mikvah and he was matar himself, but he wasn't matal mayim. He's going to become tummy again when he's matal mayim because we assume there's a little bit of zera that comes out with the hatalas mayim, and that's going to be matam all over again. Rabbi Yosi Aimer, we're going to see why this is relevant. B'chaylo bezakim tummy. If he's elderly, if he's sick or elderly, then this is the case that he's tummy. But if he's young and healthy, then he's tar because we assume that the Grias carry that he had, everything came out. And it's a sign of vigor. When someone's vigorous, the carry is full-fledged. Everything comes out. But someone who's old or sick, then a little bit remains. So then when he's matal mayim, that will come out. So even if he was toivel, it will make matam him again. Yeled ad kama. Until when is he considered youthful? Vigorous. Amr below, Amr Chanina, kol she'oimen al raglav achas, l'cholz menali. So anyone who could stand on one leg and take off his shoe, v'noyel menali, and put on his shoe. It means he doesn't have to sit down in order to put on or off a shoe. Amr level Reb Chanina shaya ben shmoinim shana, when he was 80 years old, v'yoimen al raglav achas, l'cholz menali, v'noyel menali. He was able to do it, even when he was 80 years old, he was able to do one shoe. I'm a lot less than 80, and I think I would find it difficult. Amr Chanina, Chamin v'shemen she sachanti imi bialdusi hein amduli basic nusi. Said the oil and the hot water that my mother used to bathe me, to clean me off when I was young, that's what stood in good stead for me when I was old. That's what kept me so vigorous when I was older. I was well cared for when I was a child, and that made me strong when I was old. Tanarabah. The smala zikne roy las shliach tzibur, someone whose beard is fully filled in, could be the shliach tzibur, v'leirid lifnei ateva, and to, well, we're gonna have to see let's see Rashi for what shliach tzibur is. It's not what we would think. The next thing is the leirid lifnei ateva is to be the shliach tzibur, that what we call a shliach tzibur. So Rashi shliach tzibur l'chol tzorcheim l'tkaya shofar, to blow the shofar, ulenadis, to be able to have the authority to put someone into cherem, the limnais parnas, and to be appointed the president. So in order all these things, he has to have a full beard. The leirid lefnei ateva, that means to be the chazan. The lisa as kapav, to for a kohen, if he's a kohen, to bench the everyone. So Taisus asks, the top Taisus, Tema, Verkurs Amigilamin cotton Karabatire, Vane Pyrus, the Aaron Pyrus al Shma, the lawyer Lufnea Teva, Lena says Kappa. He could do Kriyas Atira, but he can't go from that table. Lena says Kappa. Mashwa Hebish Te Cyrus, if it's only because he's a cotton. But once he's not a cotton anymore, he could be the Chazan, and he could do Duchening. To be an appointed chazan. It means he could do it on occasion, but to get to become the cantor, or to daven on those special occasions, okay. He also asks about Noises Kapov, that it says even a cotton can. This is a big fight in my house. My grandfather, who was not a kohen, was very excited for me to duchen. He was very sick. He was nifter soon after my bar mitzvah, and he wanted me to duchen. So my father allowed him to take me to Eretz Yisrael for the summer, and he let me duchen when I was over there in Eretz Yisrael when he couldn't see it. When I came home, I wasn't allowed to duchen with my father till my bar mitzvah. Yeah. In any case, Tan, where are we up to? Yeah. We're up to Me'emasai Kashal Avodah in the Gemara. Me'emasai Kashal Avodah. Mishayavi stay Cyrus. One can do Avodah. He doesn't have to be in the smala ziknai. He doesn't have to have his beard filled in. It just has to be a gadol. Stay Cyrus. Rabbi Omer, Ani ad sheyeh ben eser. Omer Ani ad sheyeh ben eser. Rabbi says he has to be 20 in order to do Avodah. Omer of Chizda, my time of the Rabbi. Where does Rabbi get this from? The Chsiv. Vayamidu es halaviyim mi ben esrim shana v'mayla l'natzach amalechas beis Hashem. That the Levium will manage lanatzach means to be administrators on when they're 20, that's what they could do malachas beis Hashem. So it's not when they're bar mitzvah, but rather when they're 20. Vidach lanatzach shani. The other mandama says no, that pasuk doesn't show anything. They're just talking about managing the avodah, but to be a participant in the avodah himself, that they could do from Kanas. Fact the Gemara. We're talking about Kehanim. This pasuk very could be Yamdu Salaviyim. Why you bring that as a raya about when Kehanim can do avodah? V'hai krov Levim ksiv. But no Yeshua and Levi. Don't Yeshua and Levi. Ba'atzim va'arba mekaymis nikru Kehanim Levim. There are 24 places that the Kehanim are called Levim. L'zeh echad mehem. And this is an example of one of them where it's clearly talking about Kaihanim and Kolel Levim, because it says V'Koyanim Halavim B'nei Tzadok. The Koyanim who are the Levim, the B'nei Tzadok. So we're very openly calling Kaihanim Levim. So vice versa, it's not impossible such a thing. Tan Rabban. Ish Mizaracha L'Doiroisam. Pasuk says. Daber Elaron Lemar Ish Mizarach L'Doiroisam Ashiyah B'Imum L'Yikra L'Hakar L'Lechem Elikov. That's where we learn that a Baal Mum cannot do the avodah. Mikanam Rebbe Elazar cotton possible avodah. Va'afilu tam, because it calls it an ish. An ish is a goggle, not a cotton. Can't do the avodah even if he's a tam. Emasai kashal avodah mishiyavis de shayr. So he becomes a goggle. Avol achav hakoyanim emi nichen esan la'avodah ashiyeh ben chaf. But he says this din. It's not even a derabanan. It's that it's covered. It's not covered for someone who's a kid who's just 13 or 14 or 15 to do the avodah. He has to be ben chaf. Ikdami harebi ki. Some people say this is what Rebbe meant. When Rebbe said that you can't do the avodah, the Kohen can't do the avodah until 20, he meant because of this sensitivity. And Rebbe didn't intend that there's even a derabbanan that says that you can't do avodah until 20. What he meant is this thing that it's not bakavedik and the other kehanim were not allowed. When Rebbe said that it have to be 20, he taka meant it's that midrabanan we make them wait till they're 20 because they're going to make a mistake. But this over here is midrabanan. This that we said that they made them wait till they were 20. The Rabbanan would hold that if they do avodah before they're 20, it's not going to passel it. It's just because the other kehanim not comfortable with it. Okay, now we do a little Tumah and Tyra. Oh, look who came to join us. Good morning. Is that Sarah? I keep forgetting her name.
Leah.
Leah.
Leah, is your name Leah?
Yeah? You're helping your Abba learn? Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Leah's a big helper.
Yeah. Okay. Leah's going to be very fascinated. We're going to learn about the Tumah of Kalim, Kli Cheres, and Kli Matches. Pick the right day. Zok the Mishnah. Tar b'Kli Cheres, Tame b'Chol HaKelim, Tar b'Chol HaKelim, Tame b'Kli Cheres. Same theme that we've had in the previous Mishnayos. We're comparing two things where what's kosher in one is possible in the other, what's possible in one is kosher in the other. We're not talking about possible and kosher, we're talking about tamei and tar. But a kli charis is different, has a maila, it has a chumrah, and it has a kula over kli matchas, over other kelim. A kli charis, on the one hand, is impermeable. It doesn't get tamei if a tumah touches it on the outside. The tumah has to go inside in order to be v'tamet. So that's the kula of kli cheres, that doesn't so easily become tamei from the outside, but the inside is more susceptible to becoming tamei. That Other kalim have to be touching the inside in order for them to become tamei and for them to be metama. While a kli cheres, the whole inside of it, even if it's suspended, something suspended in a kli cheres, a sheretz is suspended in a kli cheres, it will be metamed. Okay, so that is the difference. That's what the Mishnah means, and the Gemara is going to explain. Tana Rabban, avir kli cheres tamei, the air inside of a kli cheres is tamei, and that it means if there's something tamei in the sheretz, for example, is in the kli cheres, it will be metamed. While if it's in a metal kli, that would not be metamed unless it touches it. But gabay tar, but it's outside is tar. It's not doesn't become tamei from a sheretz touching it on the outside. Avir kala kelim tar. If you have a sheretz suspended in other kelim, not a kli cheres, they will remain tar. The gaban tamei, but the outside will become tamei. Nimtza tar b'kli cheres, tamei b'chol hakelim, tar b'chol hakelim, tamei b'kli cheres, like our Mishnah said. So, where does this come from? The Tana Rabbanon toicha. The pasuk says, "B'chol kli cheres asher yipol mehem el toichai." Any kli cheres that will fall. But the pasuk is talking about shrotzim, that a sheretz will fall el toichai into them. It talks says a kli cheres and it goes into it. Kol asher b'soicha yitmai. The pasuk continues. It says anything that's inside of them, anything that's in the kli cheres, will become tamei. Oisei tishaveru, and the kli itself, there's no way of being metar a kli cheres, so you're gonna have to break it in order to. There's only way. It's the only way to get rid of the tumah. So Zok the Gemara, the Tan Rabbanon Teicha v'Afal Pishalei Naga. It says Teicha, anything's inside of it, even though it didn't touch. V'Atayim v'Afal Pishalei Naga. How do you know that it means when it says Teicha, that means even if it's not touching? Maybe it means only if it taka touches. If Yonason ben Avtuma Zoymer, Nemar Teicha l'tamei l'tamei, v'nemar Teicha l'tama. It says Teichai legabe it being metama other things, and it says Teichai in that pasuk as far as it itself becoming tama. Right? The pasuk said, "Asher yibol mehem el Teichai kol asher b'soicha yitma." Whatever is inside of it will become tama. Va'oizet tishaber, and in itself, if the first part is Asher yibol mehem el Teichai is talking about it becoming tama. The second El Toicha Kosher B'Toicha Yitma is saying that that's going to be B'Tama what's inside of it. Ma Toicha Ya'amal L'Tame Ava Pishalei Naga. Just like the Toicha that it says, as far as it being B'Tama what's inside of it, means even if it didn't touch, Av Toicha Ya'amal L'Tame Ava Pishalei Naga. Correct the Gemara. But how do you know? You're saying just like it is metama, the food inside of it, even though it doesn't touch. How do we know that? How do we know that that's true? Rabbi Yonason, al kli cheres. The Torah was made on a kli cheres that it's metama what's inside of it. Even if it's full of mustard seeds. Mustard seeds are very tiny. If you pile them up, clearly it's only touching the things that are touching. But if it's full of mustard seeds, there are many mustard seeds that are not touching the the walls. So and the pasuk says, "Kol asher b'soicha yitma." So kol, Rashi says that means even if it's not touching. Now these things that are not touching, you can't say it becomes tamei because it's touching one seed and that seed is touching another, because first of all, food cannot be metama. Second of all, in order for something to be able to be metama, it has to be, I think kadasha, or maybe kadasha is not. Maybe kadasha is a different thing. It has to be, I think, a beya. But in any case, it can't be metama because of its negia. And we're saying kol asher b'soicha yitma. means even if it's not touching. So therefore, we're able to learn that that which is becomes tamei from a kli cheres includes anything that's inside of it. So that which the kli cheres becomes tamei from the sheretz inside of it also does not have to be touching. It's what's even if it's suspended inside. Amalei Rav Ada bar Ava l'Rava. V'yehei kli cheres mitam migabay. Well, let's say that this is exactly what we've had in every Mishnah. We're going to ask each thing, the kula of each one, both of a kli cheres and a kli matches, should be learned from the other, or the chumrah. Let's say kli cheres should also be metama from its outside. The kal v'chaymer. Uma kol kelim. Other kelim, non-kli cheres kelim. She'ei metama ma'aviron. They don't become tummy from what's inside. Metama migavon. They become tummy from what's outside. Kli cheres titama ma'avira ein edin titama migavoy. A kli cheres that does become tummy from the what's inside of it. Ein edin yitama migavoy. It certainly should be metama from the outside. The Torah says any open kli that doesn't have a cover on it, that's going to become tummy, right? We're talking about now tumas oil. If you have a kli inside of a oil that has a mace, so the mace makes tuma in anything inside of it. So the Gemara, what the pasuk is telling you is that if you have a kli that doesn't have a tzamid pasal, a covering on it, then it will become tamei from tumas mace. But if it doesn't, which is mashma, but if it doesn't have a cover on it, then it becomes tamei. Ezo kli shetumasei kodemes lepischa. Which kli do we say that it becomes tamei quicker from its opening? Haviyim is that kli cheres. That's a kli cheres because the kli cheres can accept tuma from the inside and not the outside. And the pasuk says, "V'chi ain't some pasuk of hu de tamei." The pasuk is mashma, but it's only because there's no covering on it. Hayesh some pasuk of tar. But if it has a tzamid pasal, it's tar because, like we said, a kli cheres is not able to accept tuma from the outside. So we were suggesting a kli cheres should be able to be metama from the outside from a kal v'chaymer, but the Torah says that there is a type of kli that doesn't get tame from the so like we said a kli cheres we know is metama from its inside. It's metama even before it touches the kli itself. And we're saying this kli, as soon as the tuma enters into the kli, it's metama. That's only a kli cheres. A kli matches, it has to touch the inside. It doesn't become tummy quicker from entering into it. It has to actually touch it. And that attack doesn't make a difference whether it's on the inside or the outside. So that's a kli cheres.
If it has a tzamid, would not make a difference.
Right, because it would, it's a little hard to understand. This is
Right.
where I get a little stuck on, because what does it have to do? We're coming from the fact that a kli cheres really is metama from its avir.
Right.
So it really doesn't. So the point is really doesn't really have to do so much with the fact that it's. We can't presume the question. We can't say it's because it's metama from the outside, because that's what we're questioning. Maybe a kli cheres should be metama from the outside. Let's see the Rashi. Kli pasuach medekaped a psicha. Shema mina b'kli cheres koi. Obviously, we're talking about kli cheres. Ezu kli shetumasei kedemes lepischai. Which kli do we say that the tuma comes from its pesach? But ezu kelim hergila teres tumasei lahashkem lamar v'lovei derech pischai. Which is the kli that is quickest to get tuma by its pesach? That's the kli cheres. So that's what Rashi means, is that it's a shtigel chiddush, right? That we're saying that because it goes quicker by a kli cheres, that it doesn't have to wait for the tumah to actually touch the kli as soon as it goes into the Pesach. It's metama. So Vaisis is talking about a kli cheres, even though, like, obviously it's instantaneous. If it's a kli pasuach, whether we're leaving aside the tumah from the outside. We're saying it becomes quicker from tumah from the inside. I guess it means not in the case of a tumas oil. In any case, a kli cheres is always faster to become tame through its avir than a kli matches, which is gonna only gonna become tame from its pesach when the thing actually touches. Fact the Gemara, let's say the other way around. Okay, so that's the raya. So when the Torah is referring to a kli cheres, and it's saying only when it's closed, only when it's open, but when it's closed, it's not going to become tame because the outside is not makabel tum. Let's say the other way around. Let's say all kalim, non-cheres kalim, should become tame from their inside mikal b'chayim. Makal cheres she'em metam megavai metam ma'avira kol hakem she'metam megavai enedin she'metaman me'avira. Right? If the kli cheres, which is not metama from the outside, is metama from the inside, certainly all kalim that are metama both from inside and outside, they should be metama from the avir of the inside. Amakra toichai 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 shel zeh v'lo toichai shel acha. The Torah says that the kli cheres is metama mitoichai, but nothing else, not a kli machas. Fact the Gemara v'hani toichai dashinu. We already used this toichai before to tell you, like we said before, that the kli cheres will not just become tameh, but also will be metama other things. How could you tell you? We have to tell you both that it is metama and it's metama other things. So how could we also learn to tell you that it's excluding kli matras, that it's not going to be metama mitaychai? So Gemara arba teichai, it's not really just 2 times teichai. There are 4 teichai. Teichai, teich, teichai. Teichai, teich, teichai, teich. The Torah could have just said teich. Instead it said teichai. So each mention of teichai is 2 limudim, and says it twice in the pasuk, right? It says, so both times it could just said teich. So we have 4 limudim. Chad legufe. One to tell you the first din that the like it says, the pasuk says, mehem el toicha, that it's going to be metama if you have a sheretz inside of it. B'chad l'gzeirus shava, and one for the gzeirus shava to tell you that it's going to be metama mitoichai even without touching, right? The extra din, not just that it's metama from the inside, but it's also going to be metama from the avir. V'chad toicha shel zeh v'le toicha shel acha, like we just said, it's available to tell this drasha that kli matchas is not metama ba'avir. V'chad toicha v'lo toich toicha, and the final one is to tell you toicha v'lo toich toicha, if there's a kli, whether it's vafilu kli shatef, even a kli matchas, if it's inside of a other kli, if it has a cover, or if its opening is above the kli, it's not going to be metama what's inside of that kli. Let's see, what is this toich toichan? Toichai v'loy toich toicha afilu kli shatef matzel. So Rashi, haya kli munach b'toich kli cheres. You have a second kli inside of a kli cheres. And the opening is above the the kli cheres, can the mafarish b'teres koinim, v'lechel mashne b'pnimi, and this food inside of this inside one. But tuma ba'avir chachitza, and this tuma, there's a sheretz in the air out in this kli cheres. Ein oichlem tmein, the oichlem doesn't become tame, the lav toicha the kli cheres minu, elo toich toicha. This is not considered to be part of the avir of the kli cheres, even though it's inside the kli cheres. We have a second kli that it's considered to be inside of that, even though we say that whatever is inside of the kli cheres is mitama. That's unless there's another kli interposing. And in this case, you have a second kli that's interposing. But kli shetef matzel, even if it's a metal kli that normally we say whatever is inside of it does become tame, or it can become tame from what something touching it on the inside. But this tumas avir of a kli cheres is not considered to be metam the kli. The lemi by pnimium gam hu shel cheres the matzah. Certainly, kli cheres inside its matzah. Given the enim metam megavai lenito v'chaitzis b'nei atuma shavavir chitzin el afilu kli shetef yitam megavai. V'ikol amemel yachatz b'nei atuma. One might say a kli shmatchas will not be interposed with tuma. Matzah aloich shem seichas gam hu lenitma v'chaitzis. Okay, then the Rashi goes into maybe when it's touching, when it's touching in the chitzain, chitzain rishon hu ve'en kli mekabel tuma ela me'avat tuma. That which it's touching the outside kli is not going to make it tame because one kli cannot be metama. To make a second kli, it's only a rishon. It can't be metama a kli with a rishon. Okay, back to the Gemara. Back to the Gemara. The lo you call a kel metamni gavan. Let's say a kli matzes should not be metama from its outside. Ella b'toicham b'negia. Maybe let's say that it's only going to be metama from the inside through touching. It means it will have both of the chumras of. It'll have the chumrah of a kli cheres that it won't be metam from the outside, and it also will have the chumrah of a kli matzes that it needs to touch, and it's not going to be metam v'avir. Mikal v'chayma. U'ma kli cheres shemetama me'avira. Ein metam migavoy kli cheres, which is able to be metama from the avir of the inside, is not metama from the outside. Kol hakel she'en metam me'avir. Ein edin she'en metam migavon. They certainly should not be able to be metama from their outside. All of Tomei, who is the pasuk that we quoted before, which we said we had proved that was talking about a kli cheres, that it's quicker to become Tomei from the inside. And we say, this is something that if there's no covering on it, that it's Tomei. Hayesh tzamid pasal of tamar, but if there is a tzamid on its pas, then it's going to become tamei because that's going to stop it because it only is able to become tamei from the inside, not from the outside. They could always become tamei whether or not they have a tzamid pasal on them.
So kli matzes, even if it has to cover the food inside, becomes metame through the exterior.
Right. Okay, we're going to stop over here. I think that's enough tuma for us for one day, especially on a day off.
Thank you so much. Have a great
I'll
day.
see you tomorrow in shul. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Shkar.
Okay. Take care.